Hello everyone, this is Andrew McNair from SWAN Capital with our March 2016 Educational Economic Update. In this month's video, we're going to be talking about some of the major economic headlines that influenced markets in last month and give you some insight into what it might mean for you as an investor. Now, as always, please stay tuned at the end for a required disclosure statement. So after a rocky January for stocks, February didn't offer investors much relief. Volatility was still the name of the game. However, we did get some positive news, and we're going to be talking about some of that positive news in this month's video. So if you've been watching the news lately, you've probably heard a lot of talk about a possible recession coming. And that is the million-dollar question. Is a recession coming? Is it on its way? Some economists are worried about a U.S. recession because of issues like low oil and commodity prices, emerging market problems in countries like China, and fears that central banks are just out of tools to fight economic troubles. And these fears are not baseless. However, they don't necessarily spell recession either. There's a lot of positive news that we need to weigh in and consider. Now, one of these indicators argues against a coming U.S. recession is the labor market. The January jobs report showed that the economy gained 151,000 jobs in January. The gains pushed the unemployment rate down to 4.9%. That's the lowest it's been since February 2008. Now, another positive is that wages are growing and Americans are continuing to spend money, which is a great sign for the economy. Now, in short, we don't know if a recession is coming, and neither does anyone else for that matter. Regardless of whatever the talking heads on TV say, recessions don't just happen for no reason, but we are taking concerns seriously and watching fundamentals carefully. See, plummeting crude oil prices have had a lot to do with the negative sentiment that we've seen in recent months. Crude oil prices are so low because the world is awash in it and the supply is full. Combined with slowing demand from China, it's pushing down these prices. And investors worry persistently low prices might mean that the global economic growth is going to continue to worsen. So that's a real concern. Now, low oil prices also cut into energy companies' profits, and as well as those companies with stakes in the energy sector. You got companies that not only sell energy, you got companies that also profit from the energy sector. And with 80% of the S&P 500's earnings in, we saw a negative 3.6% drop. Now, if you take out the energy sector out of that, you would actually see a 2.5% increase. So it's not all bad news, even if it's weighed down by the energy sector. So the overall economic picture wasn't as bad as expected either. Gross domestic product, GDP, grew 1%. All the economists were talking about was 0.7% that they originally estimated. So while economic growth has decelerated in the last 3 months, it didn't slow down as much as the economists thought. Now, responding to these concerns about economic growth, the Federal Reserve declined to raise interest rates again at its January meeting. This is helping keep investor confidence high. The problem is the Open Market Committee will meet again in March, and we still think that the Fed is going to wait till June for the next rate hike. So they're pushing it off in the distance, kicking the can again. So bottom line, 2016 has been a rocky road for investors, and volatility is likely to continue at least for a while. Now, while corrections and uncertainty aren't easy, let's remember that the coming years before have been solid equity growth. We've done good so far in the past. And so we need to keep a close eye on fundamentals. And we're helping our clients make informed decisions based on this latest research. Now, if you have concerns about your personal financial situation, don't hesitate to give our office a call at 850-380-9558. Now, as a client, we have our upcoming shred day. You don't want to miss it. Bring all your documents. We're going to barbecue and we're going to shred those documents, and hopefully you can bring in a copy of your most recent tax return so we can make sure it's on file for you. Again, hope you have a wonderful month in March, and we'll see you next time.